am Amy Leary. I'm the Executive Director of MOPSOC and the Montana Post-Secondary Educational Opportunities Council. I am the lucky one that gets to work with all of the colleges, all 25 in Montana, and all 200 high schools and 300 counselors. And today is one example of us coming together to help students, especially in this time of COVID-19. And we are going to be doing a session on how to navigate admissions and some tips around how to do this in this special time of COVID-19. And we've got some great professionals, and admissions really are the gurus in our state and are our board of directors from all the colleges in Montana. We have a good chunk of the colleges here today, and so I'm going to open it up to them. We're going to start with introductions, and then we're going to go around and share advice from the panel, and then open it up for any questions that anybody has and dialogue together on how we can help students in this time. So
good morning.
With that, let's go around and do some introductions. How about we start with Austin from Rocky Mountain College? We'll start with you.
Great. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us this morning. Again, as Amy said, my name is Austin Mapston. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment Services here at the institution, and look forward to sharing kind of like our feedback on this process and everything, the new normal, if you will, that we're all kind of going through together. So again, welcome. Next.
Great. Yeah, feel free. I'm going to let you guys jump in and introduce yourselves. So feel free to jump in and introduce yourselves.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Gort. I'm Director of Enrollment Services and Recruitment in the Office of Admissions at Montana State University, and also the current MOPSOC president for about another 2 months. Yeah, excited to be here. Glad everybody's taking time to join us. We appreciate it. I'm going to go popcorn. I'm just going to call on people. So let's go with Emily next.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Ferguson-Steger, Director of Undergraduate Admissions at the University of Montana and Missoula College. Great to be with all of you today. On to Joey.
Good morning, Bill from Cheyenne Country, Joey DeTono. I am the Registrar for Chief Dolmaev College. Glad to be a part of this morning. Chrissy?
Hi, I'm Chrissy Stokes. I'm an admissions representative with the University of Montana Western in Dillon. Thanks for joining us today. And Denise, on to you.
Good morning, everybody. I am Denise Osberg. I work at Great Falls College, MSU, here in Great Falls, and I am working in marketing and communication and events. And yeah, we're excited to be here.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Well, I would tell you that each and every one of these individuals are pros in this admissions world and have been around for a long time to talk about how this world exists normally. But we all are new to COVID-19 and we're all learning together. And we wanted to come together to offer this session to try and help each other and everybody in this session and anybody who watches this after today on some tips on how we can work together to help students in this time, and how it looks a little different, and some maybe ideas and tactics of what some campuses are doing, and basically just some advice for students. And if you're a student on this session today, we hope you take this advice and feel free to reach out to us after. We're here to help you. If you're a counselor here today, we hope this helps give you some tools and resources and ideas to share with your students as you're working with them on their options after high school and how to apply to college. So with that, we're going to start with just the basic question is, what tips or ideas or wisdom or resources to the panel presenters today would you offer students when they come to you in this time in helping them through this admission process in COVID-19? And so with that, I'm going to let you guys jump in and share, and we'll go from there. And of course, if you're on the session and you have ideas, again, we have a wealth of information in this room today, so feel free to post your ideas in the chat as well. So with that, I open up to the panel.
Great. Thanks, Amy. I'm going to go ahead and start us off. I think the two tips that I would offer, both you as guidance counselors or mentors with students and the students themselves, first and foremost is we always say patience is a virtue, and no, that's truer now than it ever really has been. We're all kind of navigating what is hopefully a temporary new normal. And as we kind of go through that, even some of the processes that our individual institutions undergo, in our engagement with students have had to change, and they're constantly in flux. And so if we can continue just to work together, and to be honest, our experience here at Rocky, and I'm sure the other campuses across the state, the students and the guidance staff have been so gracious and very just great through this whole process and very understanding, but it's wearing as well. And so recognizing that, just continue to urge students and everybody to be proactive. And so if there are questions, definitely reach out to us, let us know how we can assist, but also that patience kind of factor. The other one that I would share also is that, again, as we're in this temporary new normal, the student college search experience is so different than what maybe their older siblings may have gone through, or friends from previous graduating classes, and what yours as guidance counselors, that experience is. And so again, those things change sometimes depending on what might be going on our campuses individually as it relates directly to COVID. So if we need to cancel a visit program or whatnot, a lot of those things are being done out of an abundance of caution and for safety, for everyone's sake. But just know that it is different. And so as you're having those conversations with students about what their expectations for their college experience might be, knowing that there is kind of an asterisk at the beginning, and that hopefully we can get back on track to where the overall student experience kind of goes back to what we all know and love so much. And so those would be kind of my tips and just kind of points of consideration as we kind of navigate the enrollment process through this fall and into the spring months. I'll turn it over to others for input.
All right, so my two tips in this unique time is a reminder to students and counselors that considering all options is vital. The time that we're living in is absolutely unprecedented and unconventional, and as a result, students may want to take unconventional decisions when it comes to college. In other words, students may have more options than they realize. For example, we absolutely encourage students who are looking to continue their education to continue that search, as Austin was just talking about. But also, there is nothing wrong in a student choosing to take a gap year to determine what direction they really want to go in. During those gap years, they could work or volunteer or even start their own business. There are a lot of good things that can come from taking a year off school. If it gives a student more time to explore who they are and who they want to be, it also could be an area where they can find an area to save some money. A student could choose to attend a 2-year community college or an embedded 2-year to do their general education requirements, and then transfer either in or out of state to complete their 4-year bachelor's if that's their goal. They can even continue to transfer to an out-of-state dream school once perhaps they feel like it's safer or that COVID is better under control. The second tip that I have is to look at how COVID was handled by the institutions that students are interested in. Of course, one of the biggest deciding factors at this point is to look at how a university or a college handled and responded to COVID-19. Does the decisions that have been made by that institution fit your expectations? And each of us has different expectations. Have they made the decisions about whether or not to allow students back on campus? Are they doing primarily online learning? Are they living on campus? These are individual family concerns that each family needs to take seriously, but these are ways that a student might find their best college fit by looking at what has happened in the past and figuring out what aligns with them when deciding their next step in the future. I'll hand it over to Chrissy.
All right, so my two tips, the first one is control what you can. Obviously, there are so many things that are outside of our control right now, so try not to stress over those items that we we can't actually do anything about, and focus on the things that that your students or students themselves can actually handle at this time. So I know that ACT and SAT scores are kind of up in the air. Some students might be able to take it, other students might not. But most of the schools, if not all of the schools, are test optional. So instead of worrying about that side of things and trying to figure out a way to take a test when it's not available in your area, students can focus more on things in their control, such as coursework, final grades, things like that, ending with a higher GPA than they might have been able to because they're focusing on other things. Students can also take the time to really focus on their scholarship applications. They might have a little bit more time to focus on that side, which can help them out a ton in the long run. And then secondly is taking advantage of the virtual sessions. Of course, things like this that are offered by MOPSOC and schools across the nation might be the next best thing to actually being able to go to that campus to be able to see it in person. The best way to get that information is directly talking to those schools, reaching out to the admissions staff. Things are definitely different on every single campus. It's very weird if some schools are handling it the exact same way. Each school is unique with how they are handling things on their campus. So the best way to get that information is by reaching out to them directly. Chances are if you get in touch with someone on the admissions team, they might put you in touch with other people on their campus to give you even more information, such as talking to other members of the staff like financial aid or academic advising, professors on campus, even current students might be able to talk to you and share more information if you aren't able to make it to campus in person. And I'll pass it off to Denise.
Thank you. So for Great Falls College, one of the things that we would like to suggest is to just pay attention to how other campuses have adjusted to COVID. If they've already offered online courses, it wouldn't be any different if they were going through COVID environment. So those campuses might be a little bit better equipped to be proficient at online teaching or learning and the support that they already offer for those online courses. Our second tip would be something that Emily mentioned, would be taking a look at some of those community colleges, because saving time at this uncertain time really makes sense. It is absolutely the right time to consider a community college which offers the same rigorous and academics for a 4-year college, but literally will cost your students half the cost. So those would be our tips from our school. So just kind of pay attention to some of those things. Thanks, and I'll pass it to Joey.
Well, thank you, Denise. I don't know what I can say that you haven't already said. I guess one of the biggest things I would say to students and counselors would be there's a wealth of knowledge out there, and there's a ton of resources. And the one thing COVID's taught us is that there is that connectivity online, there is availability online. Everybody's navigating this differently, but we're all trying to do one thing, and that's still remain functional during this crazy time. The other thing I would say to students, and I always use it, is, generally those websites, each college will have their catalog posted. And the one thing I tell our incoming freshmen would be, this is your Bible, so to speak, for the next 2 years. Empower yourself. There's generally 9 out of the 10 questions that a student will have can be answered within that catalog. So if a student is serious about going to that school, that's one of the greatest ways to advocate, to empower themselves. And don't be afraid to reach out. If there is question, and nobody's going to advocate for you better than you. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Mike.
Hi, everybody. I think as a group, especially, there's a lot, as Joey said, there's a lot of knowledge in this group. Collectively, when you look at just the experience with looking at our executive board and across the college campuses in the state, now is the time to ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing, is that students especially, so encourage your students. If students are on, please ask us questions. Now is not the time to be shy. There's so many changes. You're all experiencing it every single day, where, talking to some of our colleagues across the state at the high school level, that, they are sure they've got something under control 1 week and the next week it changes. And it's no different at the college side. So we're all trying to keep students up to date, but at the same time, it's confusing. It's hard to navigate. And so ask us questions. There is no silly questions at this point. Even if you think it might be the easiest question in the world, it's not. So make sure to ask us questions. That's the biggest thing. It's better to get that confirmation instead of guessing. And the other big thing that I really want to assure, not just our students, but our counselors, our colleges, everybody out there, they're not alone in this. The college experience and the college search in general is so overwhelming for some students. We've all seen it, that students they rile themselves up. It's a big decision. It's a massive life decision. And that's in normal times. You toss in a pandemic and social unrest and, everything else in between, and just different years. And it's just more stressful than it ever has been. So reassure them they're not alone. And frankly, for at least Montana, for our institutions and for what we're here for, it's not a bad thing if a student takes a step back for a day or two and walks away just to take a break. We're going to be here. We've got spots for them. We're going to make sure to work with students all day, every day. So no, they're not alone in this. This is something we're all managing together, and we want to manage this together. So, keep your chins up, basically. So never, ever hesitate to let us if you have concerns or questions. That's a big thing. And Amy, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thanks, Mike. I would add to that, as far as tips, I've been attending sessions with counselors and colleges all summer long as we started to hear and face this COVID-19 and learn what it was about and how we could shift and adjust and help students before fall. And I remember at one point I was in a meeting and a counselor said to me, the one piece that we're working on trying to help right now is students feel like their hope is lost for their future. And that stuck close with me, and has stuck close with me throughout the whole summer as we rushed to try and put some virtual events together, when there were times I know us as colleges and even counselors came together and said, how do we do this so quickly? But you know what? We all came together and we made it happen. And I think that's the thing that I've noticed for both students, counselors, and everybody working in education to help students right now, is by coming together, we are able to offer opportunities still, and we are still here. And I think that's the big message I would just send to students, is there is still hope for your future. We're here. It looks a little different as far as how we're delivering that message, but we're here and we're helping. And if anything, we're even more ready to help students than we ever have been. And we're open to coming together to help. And I'll say that on behalf of all 25 colleges, and even all the counselors I've been working with. Everybody is willing to come together to help students in this time. And so I would come back to and echo what many of these gurus have shared already today, is reach out, ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We're happy to come together and help, even if it's in a new way that we never thought of before. If anything, those new ways are the ways that seem to be working the best. So don't be afraid to share. We're here and we're in it together. I know that seems like an overused phrase right now, but it really does mean that. And I would say the power that I have seen over the last year or a few months in this, I guess it feels like a year, the last several months is the power of people coming together to help students. So I would just say thanks to everyone. For students, keep your hope. We are out here. We're going to help you. I'll tell you that montanacolleges.com is a great resource for trying to reach all 25 Montana colleges, but also many options out of state, additional specialized training programs, military branches. We promote as many options as we can on that site and links to resources. If you think of anything else we can help with you in this time, please let us know. So with that, that's all I have. I guess the last thing I would say, if you know me well, The other piece I would say is also really helpful in this time. When in doubt, ice cream and chocolate always make a day brighter. So don't ever hesitate. Again, I wish I could send you all coffee and donuts right now, but we'll figure that out for future meetings. With that, I guess I'll open it up to anybody else on the panel for any other thoughts that have come up. And of course, I'd love to open it up. I know we've got a great group of counselors who are here with us today who have a wealth of information too. If any of you have any other feedback of what's working or helping students right now that we haven't talked about, I'd love to hear it. So open it to everybody in today's call right now. While everybody is getting their feet wet and getting the courage to state their wisdom, I know we've got a few good counselors. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. You guys bring a lot to the table. So hopefully maybe a few of you will speak up on what's working or what advice you would have been sharing with students to get them through this time in general. Well, you guys are getting your feet wet and hopefully it's going to speak up. I would ask all the panel members to put your contact information in the chat. I also am going to, by the end of the session, share an overview of all these tips and wisdom shared thus far. But again, I'd love to open it up to everybody right now.
I'll pose a question, Amy, to our guests in this session is, what can our individual institutions do to assist both you and your students through this process, especially with some of the differences and changes that we've had to enact with how we engage students? What is helpful and what is not helpful from your perspectives?
Great question, Austin. Anybody willing to jump in and share? And I know we might have some counselors who don't have audio connected, so feel free to post it in the chat if your audio is not working, but we'd love your insight. We put everyone on the spot. Well, it is still early, so if
Amy, I'll chat just for a second.
Oh, you're so cute. Good way to be brave.
Oh yeah. So I don't have seniors this year. I just have juniors. Hi, I'm Vanessa Gibson from Sentinel High School, and you know, I think it's really hard to reach everyone during these times. Like, we're so focused on trying to connect them back to our schools. At least we're in hybrid right now, so just trying to get kids engaged in our process and then trying to get them to search for colleges is really difficult. But I think the more that we can kind of push out, because our contact with students is pretty limited at this time. So the recorded sessions, like anything that we can push out and have them available to see it when it's their time to kind of engage in that process, and then just constantly encouraging them to engage in that process of looking at information. But the structures that we usually have in place, I feel like we're lacking currently.
Oh, that's great insight. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, probably not the greatest insight. We're still figuring it out.
No, it does help. You know, that is part of it. We're all learning together. So I appreciate you speaking up, because I think that is what we've even learned this fall with a handful of our virtual events, is that students are interested, but trying to make it happen is difficult. And so that scheduling piece. And if you have any other insight, or anybody on today's session have insight on what scheduling seems to be working or what messaging to students seems to be working the best, that would be helpful too. But thanks for sharing that.
I think it's important to point out that all of us are still figuring things out. Nobody's an expert, so it's important to point it out. I think that we got to remember that, you know, we're all in this. We're all trying to figure out what this new normal is.
Absolutely, Joey. Thanks for stating that. It's so true. We are all learning together. So the grace and understanding around this entire room and entire world right now is needed by everyone for sure. So appreciate everyone sharing. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to share? Any counselors that feel brave to share with us what's working or what they could need from us as well. All right. Well, I don't want to put anybody too much on the spot. How about rest of the panel sessions? We have a final minute. I'm going to post the overall tips that were shared thus far, some really great insights and just reminders at the end of the day to stay healthy in this, both healthy through COVID, but healthy in balance of trying to do the service and good work you all are doing. So, I mean, first and foremost, stay healthy. We'll get through it. We just know we're here. But I open it up to the panel members for any final, statements they would like to make. I'm going to post the tips in the chat now. But any final panel comments you want to make?
I think the biggest thing I'd just like to say is thank you. Thank you all for the work you're doing. I know that it's not easy. And Vanessa, like I said, like you're having such limited contact with students in general. So it takes an already challenging job and makes it that much harder. So know the work you all are doing every single day is really appreciated by all of us. And obviously, if there's ever anything we can do on our individual campuses or as an organization, don't ever hesitate to let us know. That's, something like, and I'm going to speak for the board. They can chime in if they disagree, but even if it's not our campus, like if it's one of those things, if you have a question on Rocky and, you just don't know who else to contact, let me know and I'll make sure you get in touch with Rocky or find out the answer. And the biggest thing is we want to make sure we're helping. So thank you for all you do. It is truly appreciated. We're looking forward to eventually being able to see you all in person, whether it's at a college fair, or, a counselor meet and greet, whatever we got. We're looking forward to eventually being able to do that again. Hopefully soon. Fingers crossed.
Great. Anyone else have any final words of wisdom before we close out today? All right. Well, I am just finishing pasting in these final comments. You guys are welcome to copy and paste this. We, of course, have recorded this session and we'll share it out because I know there are several folks who said they weren't going to be able to attend. So we'll share it out afterwards and feel free to share this with your students. Again, big message is let students know that they are supported. Their futures are bright. We are here to help them in this journey. And please, as counselors, reach out if you need anything. We, as Montana colleges and MOPSOC, are here to help you however we can. Thanks, everyone. Keep up the good work. Sending you virtual coffee and donuts. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Everyone, have a great day.